Welcome back. So in the last lesson we said that we have two solutions for the problem we faced, right? With this approach of combining weak learners, and the first solution was bagging, the second solution was boosting, right? So in this lesson we will focus on bagging, and we will start by bootstrap sampling. So what is the problem that we have in statistics? In statistics, bootstrap actually addresses a very famous challenge. As you know, we want to model the population, right? If we have 1 million examples, we say that these 1 million examples represent all the examples in the real world, even though we might have 10 millions in the real world, right? So what we have actually is a sample of the population. We cannot really have the total population or the whole population, but we want to collect information about the whole population. So we have a sample of the population and we want to collect information or make decisions for the whole population. Okay, so the question is now how to make sure that this sample, the sample that we have, represents the whole population. Is the mean of the sample is a good enough approximation for the mean of the population? So let's say we went to the street and we collected data about the heights, for example, okay? So we collected this data and then we calculated the average height of a person in a specific place. Does this mean or does this average really represent the actual mean of the data, of the whole population for this street or for this country or for the whole world even? Most probably, no, right? So bootstrapping or bootstrap is trying to solve this problem. So instead of just estimating the statistic, the mean, for example, right? Instead of only calculating the statistic once, so instead of calculating the mean only once, we do this many times. So we calculate the mean multiple times, okay? And we do this using resampling with replacement of the original sample. Okay, so what do we mean exactly by resampling with replacement? So let's say that this is the original sample with sample size n, right? So this is the original sample and we have n, this is the sample size. Okay, now what we are going to do is that we are going to have b sets of bootstrap samples of size n. So we have here b sets, so let's say b is equal to 5, for example, and n is equal to 100. Okay, so we will have 5 sets and each set will contain 100 examples. But as we said, we are going to do this resampling with replacement, right? So this means in the first sample we might have repeated elements or repeated examples, right? So even though we have here 100 distinct examples, here we will have 5 sets. Each set consists of 100 examples, and these 100 examples can be repeated in each sample, right? So here we have, let's write here that we have, let's say 10 examples, okay? And let's say that the 10 examples are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10, right? So these are the 10 examples we have in our data. So what I'm going to do is that I will have here in the first set, so let's say b is equal to, okay? So if I do this sampling with replacement, then I might end up with the first set 1, 2, 1, 3, 6, 1, 2, and then 3, and then let's say 9, right? So how many? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So we'll have here, let's say 8, right? So this is the new set. Okay, this is the bootstrapped sample or the bootstrapped set. Okay, so we used replacement to have the same number of examples here and here. So here we have 10 examples and here we also have 10 examples, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And we have repeated examples. So 1 is repeated 3 times, 2 is repeated 2 times, 3 is repeated 2 times also, right? And 7 is not here, 10 is not here, 4 and 5 are not here, right? So in the second set, we might have something like 2, 2, and then 1, and then 3, and then 5, then 1, and then let's say 3, then 6, 10, 9, right? So here we have also 10 examples. In the first set we have 10 examples, and in the second set we have 10 examples, because B sets of Bootstrap sample of size n, okay? And we are doing this with replacement. So here we have 2 is repeated 2 times, 1 is repeated 2 times, 3 is repeated 2 times, and 7, 4, and 8 are not there, right? So this is how we perform resampling with replacement. We have 10 examples, and they are unique examples corresponding to our original sample, and then we construct B new sets. Each of them has a sample of size n, right? And we do this with replacement, so we have repeated elements or repeated examples. So what we are going to do next, here we will calculate the mean. So the mean of this data should be 5.5, right? And here we will also calculate the mean of the data, and here we will also calculate the mean of the data. So for each set, we will calculate the estimates, right? So let's say that the estimates we want right now are the mean and variance. So we will collect the estimate here, the first estimate and the second estimate, the first estimate and the second estimate, and so on, right? And after that, we are going to take the average of these estimates and say that the average of these estimates is actually the estimates for the whole population, not only this sample, but the whole population. So this is the idea of Bootstrap aggregation. So here we perform it bootstrapping, and then in the next step, we are going to perform Bootstrap aggregation. Okay, so we aggregate all these together. But the main idea that you need to get from this lesson is that bootstrapping is solving a problem in statistics, which is that we don't really have the complete population or the whole population. We always have a sample of the population. No matter how many examples we have, it will always be a sample of the whole population, okay? And there is no guarantee that the statistics we get from this sample represent the statistics of the original or the complete data, the complete population, right? So in order to solve this problem, we have a trick in statistics called bootstrapping. So bootstrapping is taking the original data set and then creating B sets of bootstrap samples. Each of them are of size n, and each of them are using resampling with replacement. Okay, so in the next lesson, we will understand what is bootstrap aggregation or bagging for short. Okay, so let's go.